and welcome to episode 126 of Formidable Opponents, a show that pits three people who have known each other virtually their entire lives in a series of conversations as we argue what is best in a variety of fun, engaging, and critical pop culture topics we all debate about. I'm Randall, and with me as always, Bob and Joseph, and this week's topic is Best Disco Song. Yes, this week we slip into our platform shoes and perhaps a drug-induced coma, depending on how much research we did. 4 on the floor beat, funk, soul, strings, synthesizers. We're talking about everything disco. Yes, we are aware that this genre has gotten a bad rap due to oversaturation at the time. The shallowness and the formulaic beats didn't stand a chance against rock and the burgeoning R&B genres that took themselves a bit more seriously. Disco, as we know, created a culture of excess due to its association with cocaine, heavy partying, and celebrity worship. However, the genre found itself in a peculiar spot during its apex. Its convention was inclusive and welcomed all, but its symbolism of catering to the elite via exclusive nightclubs and expensive fashion alienated many who felt seen and heard by the artists representing the genre. Resentment fueled those with working class values who felt disconnected from the genre. You can see why the genre faded as the nation grew more conservative. What you can also see is how the genre pioneered dance music, innovative production techniques, and uplifted listeners. Kind of like this podcast. Sometimes it takes decades to appreciate things, and you cannot deny the empowerment and influence disco still has on today's music. This week, Formidable Opponents will survive another week as we debate and discuss Best Disco Song. With me, as always, are two guys who like the nightlife and who got to boogie. Bob and Joseph, how are you?
I was wondering what reference you were going to use. Pretty good.
That's a great reference. Great song. What's up,
everybody?
folks?
What's going on? What's going on? It's good to see you here. Well, it's good for you all to hear us again now.
Hear us again.
Yes.
I'm sure it's a pleasure.
No cats and dogs are being eaten. Nobody's leaving this rally, okay? So, it's debate night,
real
folks.
Debate. Yeah, United States.
This is a real debate.
Kamala versus Trump. This is the real debate,
folks.
Guys, I don't know about you guys, but disco music, what are your thoughts on it? When I say disco, what are your immediate thoughts?
This ain't no disco. This ain't no country club either.
This is Formidable Opponents. No. Dance. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind when I hear the word disco. Disco, like it's dance, it's style.
Dude, I love disco. Disco, it's that kind of great throwback 70s music that makes you want to move, makes you want to dance, and it's live music too a lot of the time, so it's fantastic. I think of Travolta, I think of disco balls, light up floors, yeah, disco's cool, man. It's got a different sound. I'm more of the bluesy, Zeppelin, Pink Floyd vibe, but I could see why people were into disco back then, especially if you're looking for a date or something like that. Not all women want to sit and smoke pot and jam out to Led Zeppelin at 3 a.m. They want to go dance and meet the, a fucking cashier or something like that.
Bob, you mentioned Pink Floyd. You listened to Another Brick in the Wall. That guitar riff is very disco. So there's some influences on rock. Rolling Stones, Queen, Kiss. A lot of these bands had disco-influenced songs. So
yeah, I was surprised that Bob's selection wasn't one of his favorite songs in the world, which is I Was Made for Loving You.
Yeah. Well, I see that more as like it's a little more glam metal than it is.
Yeah, it's true. It gets lumped into this. It gets lumped into this category though, and if you had selected it, I would have been like all for it. I would have been like, yeah. I mean, it's from the album that I guess supposedly was their disco era.
Yeah,
yeah. Disco. I mean, I've heard other songs off of it, and one thing I learned about like this, doing the research for this topic was like, I didn't really have an understanding of what disco music was. I've always thought like my selection and our selections, I think are pretty up there with disco. But like when I looked at lists, there was songs on there that I was like, that's really like I always thought that was like a funk song, but like I guess those kind of go hand in hand, funk and disco. I don't know. And then there was other songs that were like well, ballads, I guess. And I was like, I've always kind of known that to be like just a 70s ballad, like I know you can dance to it, but I never kind of lumped it into this disco category. So really, really different, I guess, like this whole disco thing.
When I think of disco, I immediately think of the soundtrack used to score Netflix documentaries of the high amount of serial killers at the time. You know, I don't know who owns the catalog rights, but I'm sure Casey and the Sunshine Band are looking at each other thinking,
Casey and the Sunshine Band.
We just wanted to get people up and shaking their ass. We do not support the high energy director giving this song to Son of Sam. Nobody wants to watch anyone get killed or murdered over a Todd Rundgren song.
That's where Jeffrey Dahmer met a lot of his victims of discos.
I mean, yeah, it's true. And they use a lot of these songs to score these Netflix documentaries. So I was like, okay, I know that song, Son of Sam. I know that song, Richard Ramirez. You know, they use a lot of these songs for these documentaries. And you're like, okay.
I think it's because it was that time, though, right?
Yeah,
like, wasn't it? I mean, it was 70s, kind of that time. Yeah. There was a lot of like, I mean, there still is to this day. I mean, it's just
they didn't have anything to do in the 70s. You
right? It was always like
you either went on dates or you went to the movies to kill people. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, went on dates or killed people, or both in some cases.
Both. Yeah. Hey, each their own.
You know, we're fair here, and we talk about genres.
You're definitely fair. Have you seen his skin tone, folks? Jeez.
And we've talked about genres we don't always care for, guys. But put away your hate for the genre if you have any, and tell us why disco music is good music.
Because it makes you want to dance. It makes you want to move. It's got a little funk to it. It's got a little beat to it. That's the reason why I like it, because it's not just so bland. It's that like in between. You know what I mean? Something different. So I think it makes you want to move. It makes you want to tap your foot. It makes you want to dance.
The fact that, like, kind of what Bob said. Yeah, I mean, at least it gets you, especially when you're like, maybe 5 beers in and you're feeling good. You hear a good song, you start moving your shoulders.
I think that's what it takes. Yeah.
So I mean, it's just kind of like the feeling that it gives you. I guess it kind of puts you in a good mood, right? I mean, it's definitely a mood changer.
I agree. I think you need music to dance to. I love 70s rock, but you can't dance to it.
Definitely.
If you're some guy in 1976 that wants to take a woman to Funky Town, you better learn how to boogie oogie. You know what I'm saying? I would say
by you saying that, you just lost viewers. Jesus.
You go to Funky, I go to Pound.
I would say about 60% of disco music wasn't great, but then you hear about the togetherness and the inclusivity. It didn't matter your race, color, preferences. It was all accepted. Then you listen to a song like I Feel Love by Donna Summer, which was composed by Giorgio Moroder. Looky, looky, Joseph. Or Supernature by Cerrone. And people from the 70s thought this is what the future would sound like. It sounded like music that plays over the title scene of, the Betamax movies that I found in my father's sock drawer. But it sounds so innovative and trippy. It should suck, but damn it, disco was captivating. Did you guys feel the same way?
I don't know about captivating, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool.
Well, when I said, and we can cut this if you don't want it. When I remember this one time one of the best experiences of watching people enjoy disco was this one time where Bob's dad was having a birthday party.
40th birthday party.
Yeah. We were there and he was just having a hell of a time getting down to, and it was all disco playlists and he was having fun. So, I mean, it definitely gets, it puts you in a mood. And if it's something that you jam to, it's definitely, if you grew up in this era, other than, listening to 70s rock, hey, you went to places like, like Bob mentioned earlier, you want to go out on a date at the time, you probably had to go dancing. I mean, just the joy it brings to some people, like it's a motivator. I mean, it is.
Absolutely. Now, guys, tell us why disco sucks.
It's disco.
Okay, I got the answer. And there's no debate. There's nothing you could say to this, Randall. Why? That's saying no. There's no way. Disco sucks because the white people that dance to this shit have zero fucking rhythm. It's like bland sex. You ever eaten like mashed potatoes where they don't put any salt in it? It's like that. Like the people that make the music have all the groove and all the and then the people that fucking dance to this shit in all the music videos and movies are like, what the fuck is this guy doing? They don't know what the hell he's doing here. Jesus Christ! You ever had mashed potatoes with no salt, Joseph? No butter? It's just What the hell are we doing here?
Two exceptions, Bob. Casey and John Travolta. Every other white guy, you're on your own.
And I wasn't talking about just the white guy. I was talking about white people in general. Jesus Christ.
It doesn't like it doesn't. It's not my particular genre. Like, but like I was saying earlier, like I'm not gonna hate on it. I'm not gonna like,
country.
Get pissed. Yeah, like I guess like there's certain country songs. No, there's certain country songs that I just cannot stand. I will get up and walk away. Like if Mariah Carey comes on in December, like I just have to get up and walk away.
Oh fuck.
It doesn't suck, dude. It doesn't. It's just not my thing. It's it's from a time, obviously, yes. And I know we've talked about other genres of music from eras or decades, before our birth, born in the 80s. This is, primarily a 70s era of music.
Mm-hmm.
But like, 70s rock and other stuff too. It's stuff I heard growing up because of my parents. My parents listened to everything. It's just not my particular thing, but I think I've already covered like just why it's got its good qualities. And so I can't, maybe just the style, right? The style is fucking way out there. And I got to add maybe to the dancing, because what do you think of when you think of disco dancing? Pointing, right? Like
pointing, a lot of just absurd movement, choreographed.
Do the
moves.
Hustle.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
that dope button all the way to the top for some fucking reason.
Now at the time though, this fashion was probably like the shit. Like you looked good if you were going out in this stuff. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it doesn't really suck.
Other than being, the musical score for 70s serial killer documentaries, there's only so much you can do with pure dance music. They tried to expand it and deviate it, but it just sounded like music to do drugs to and to dance to, right? And that's what it was. It didn't pretend to be anything else. I listened to a lot of greatest disco hits compilations, and I found myself forwarding like 3 out of every 5 songs. Like there was 2 songs, okay, excellent. And then like the next 3 songs were terrible. I didn't have the will or the patience to listen to 98-pound people who want to get freaky.
Or the drugs.
Or the drug. I mean, it's just like, eating a Big Mac, right? You could have it once in a while. It doesn't taste so good. You have it for nostalgia.
I haven't had a Big Mac in years.
I had one last week. I still regret it.
But was it good?
Yeah, for the first 2 bites.
I'd rather have a fucking McRib. Yeah.
I want to ask both of you, is disco worse than 90s dance music?
No, I don't think so. And this is why I think, there are still talented people making disco music. They can actually sing and play instruments. 90s, there's a lot of turntables. And I don't think there's a lot of like live instrument play when it comes to 90s dance music. Not that it's bad,
that's true.
But I think that they're just more talented in the 70s because they're creating this with instruments and like, have you ever seen like some of the bands that have like 10 lead singers and fuckers spinning and dancing and singing?
Great point, dude. Great point.
How do they get paid, right? There's like 12 guys on the floor.
You all split.
I don't think it's worse than 90s dance music. I don't think it's better, but I do got to agree with the aspect of what Bob said. Like a lot, like, and that's not to say that the sounds that were being created for 90s dance music weren't actual instruments. It's just probably at the time, I mean, since the 90s, I think we've been able to DJ this stuff. Sure, it's played, it's recorded, but then when it's put together as a dance song, it's probably cut and paste. But like actually, like these songs, like in the 70s at least, what you were hearing on the record was the actual band doing their thing. What you saw out in public was them doing their thing, unless they were somewhere where like I don't know, 70s, like were they spinning like record? Did they have like
they were I mean
section? But at least it was still the recording of the original recording of the band doing its thing. So there's a difference there, and I guess it's a plus in its favor, I guess, if you want to call it.
Before disco, it was live bands at clubs, and disco DJs were putting on records and they were transitioning song to song, so nobody would get off the dance floor. They would not completely finish the song off off a record, and you hear it nowadays with DJs where they mix songs together. That's where it really started off with this disco era, the discotheque, so to speak. But I do think 90s music is the worst. You can probably name at least 5 disco songs on the 200 greatest pop songs ever composed. You can't say that for Darude and Sandstorm. You can't say that for Rhythm of the Night.
Fuck off with Sandstorm, bro.
Hey. You can't say that for Rhythm of the Night by Corona. To me, 90s dance music is more stuck in a
Reebok or so Nike.
To me, 90s music is more stuck in an era than disco is. Elements of disco can still be used today. You hear it by a lot of current artists. At least somebody was playing bass and drums and not using synthesizers and drum machines the whole way. So if you ask me, superior genre to 90s music. So guys, what disco artist should have had a bigger career post-disco?
I
have the answer. I have the answer.
Okay, then go for it. Because
okay,
I don't know. I mean, I thought they all kind of did their thing. I don't know. I really don't know if any of them were trying to do anything once the times were changing. Who was doing anything else or moving on? Maybe I'm sure the Bee Gees moved on. Their careers spanned a long time. But what's the answer?
I think it's Donna Summer. You look at her catalog,
Donna.
in her disco era, the disco queen. I Feel Love, Hot Stuff, Last Dance, Love to Love You, and then she went from being the disco queen to her only 80s notable hit, She Works Hard for the Money. I know she hated that song as much as we did. During the recording of that song, she was thinking, I used to do lines off Rod Stewart's chest. I once did things to Eric Estrada in Studio 54 bathroom that his character on Chips would have arrested me for. I mean, it's insane. She was the disco queen of the 70s, and now she's singing about filling out job applications in the 80s. Thanks a lot, Ronald Reagan. But yeah, I think she should have been a bigger star. Bob, do you have anybody?
No, I mean, if I had to name one, I would say definitely like Casey and the Sunshine Band. I think they had a lot of great hits.
They had a lot of hits, dude. You're right.
They had like so much instrumental that I think they could have transitioned into rock and roll.
Yeah.
In the 80s, like I think they could have gone that they could have tilted to that end of the spectrum. But yeah, I think them they're awesome.
Casey and the Sunshine Band, notably accepted by all communities, even Latino communities, African American communities. They love Casey and the Sunshine Band. One of the only white bands that was accepted throughout the country in terms of this genre, because they were a good band. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, fuck yeah,
definitely. Like I didn't realize how many, like when we were doing it, like I ended up putting I had to mention 3 songs.
So did I. Yeah, I got
I'm
3.
Sure they're the same 3.
And speaking of which, let's go to our honorable mentions. What do you got for us, Joseph?
All right, I got Off the Wall by Michael Jackson, which I actually didn't really consider, disco-ish, but I guess, it came out around the time. I got Staying Alive by the Bee Gees, Ring My Bell, Anita Ward, Stomp by the Brothers Johnson, The Hustle. Can't not mention The Hustle.
To the Hustle.
So for the Casey and the Sunshine Band, I had Boogie Shoes, I'm Your Boogie Man, and That's the Way I Like It. I mean, that wasn't a sentence. That was 3. That was 3 songs by Casey and the Sunshine Band. Born to Be Alive. You reminded me of that one just right now.
Yeah, great song.
I forgot about that one. Great use in the show Shoresy that I watched. There was a scene where there was a fight between the hockey teams, and they used this song. It was perfect. And last but not least, I'm pretty sure none of y'all know this one, but I like it. It's always it always happens this way by Toulouse. Just some song I heard in a TV show, and I like it. It's actually on my everyday playlist. And anyway, yeah.
What do you got for us, Bob?
Got to mention the Bee Gees. You Should Be Dancing. Yeah. Donna Summer, I Feel Love. That fucking groove is badass, dude. If y'all know that song, that little whatever background music they use for that song is just epic, like perfect for a movie. Earth, Wind and Fire, Boogie Wonderland, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Get Down Tonight. Joseph, come on, man. What's it called? Lips Incorporated, Funky Town. You know what I mean? That's a good one. I went a different route with Michael Jackson. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Joseph. That's the one. I think that's the most disco in my mind. And then we'll round it off with I Will Survive, which is almost my pick. I doesn't give off a very big dance, dance groove, I guess.
Karaoke classic, right? So for my
karaoke classic,
my honorable mentions, I had 3 by Casey and the Sunshine Band. I think they're going to win this episode. I have Shake Your Booty.
Why didn't anybody pick?
Because they're all in the top 10, right? Not number 1. Shake Your Booty, Get Down Tonight, Boogie Shoes. For the Bee Gees, I had Night Fever, How Deep Is Your Love, More Than a Woman, Staying Alive. And of course, we'll talk more about the Bee Gees soon. I have Yvonne Elliman, If I Can't Have You, which was written by Barry Gibb. I Feel Loved by Donna Summer, that sort of future sound that they were trying to incorporate, just an incredible sound. If anybody listening has not heard this song, do yourselves a favor, put on some headphones, put it loud. I Feel Loved, Donna Summer. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, MJ with his original nose. I Will Survive, Gloria Gaynor. You know, this song, Gloria Gaynor wrote it when she was learning how to walk again after suffering a back injury. So a very personal song for her. Good Times by Chic. Chic was so inspired to write this song after they were turned away, I should say, from Studio 54. They were standing in line waiting to get into Studio 54. They weren't a big enough band to sort of get, the VIP treatment. So they went back and said, we're going to write a fucking hit that gets us to the front of the line. And they wrote one of the biggest disco hits, Good Times. We Are Family, Sister Sledge. September, Earth, Wind, and Fire. I was married on the 21st day of September, so it should have probably been my pick, but I'm not going with that. This one,
you can't dance to it. That's why. Not anybody. I'm saying you specifically can't dance.
Heart of Glass by Blondie, a great disco song. I have Best of My Love by it's a disco song all the way.
It's definitely 80s, but I can see how it could.
Okay.
I see 80s though. Yeah,
I think 80s.
I love Blondie, by the way.
80s pop, 80s dance. Exactly. Great song, but I guess I get its vibes. I get the sound of it. Obviously it's dance, but I never really thought of it that. But hey, good mention either way.
Best of My Love by The Emotions, You Sexy Thing by Hot Chocolate, Born to Be Alive, Patrick Hernandez.
I forgot Hot Chocolate.
Song. That's Joseph's favorite song.
No. I just forgot You Sexy Thing.
He believes in miracles.
And Everybody's a Winner. Everyone's a winner, baby. That's a great song. Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna get sued. Stop. Okay. Born to Be Alive, Patrick Hernandez. By the way, Bob, Patrick Hernandez was French, not Mexican. We can't claim him.
He's French.
Brick House by the
Commodores. Who said we're fucking claiming him?
Brick House by the Commodores. Rock You Baby by George McCrae. I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss. And lastly, I'm gonna conclude with this because I know you all like this song. You just didn't mention it in your honorable mentions. YMCA by the Village People. We all done that damn dance. You can't escape at weddings, sporting events, reunions. You forget all your troubles. All of a sudden, you're picking your.
What kind of fucking sporting events are you going to?
The Texans games. So you forget all your troubles, and all of a sudden, you're picking your favorite Village person. You're the cowboy now. You got to admit, guys, good song. Can we admit that?
Good song. Obviously, like when we were
younger, there's a difference between a catchy song and a good song. Okay, something that everybody, the fucking chicken dance they do at weddings every time, and everybody does that stupid dance doesn't mean it's a good fucking song. It just means it's a catchy song at a wedding that everybody or slide to the left, give me a fucking break. It's not a good song. It's a song you dance to because everybody knows the dance. Even the shitty white dude with two left feet can do the YMCA.
That's why it's fun. It's so inclusive. Go ahead, Joseph.
No, just to say the only thing now is
I like peanut butter cups.
I think I can't not think of Wayne's World too when I hear YMCA. They run on stage with the DJ. Ooh, opportunity.
Get it, girls. Yeah,
get it, girls. Get it. Hey, and they go for it.
What a great scene.
Hilarious scene, right?
But okay, I guess we can't talk about Macho Man, so we're just gonna skip that. So
Randy Savage?
Better sounding song. Let me just say Macho Man. Yeah.
I would say that the lead singer of the Village People, I don't know if he was the soldier or I don't know what the hell he was, but he could sing.
He was the cop.
He was the cop? No, the soldier. I don't know. Somebody. Anyway,
okay. Yeah. There was a soldier?
There was somebody.
Construction worker.
I don't know who he was. We're going to go on to our selections. Bob, you're leading us off. What do you got for the best disco song?
All right. We're going to go with, I had to go with The Tramps, not one M, but two. The Tramps' Disco Inferno, the #1 U.S. Billboard Dance Club song of 1977. The intro to this song, it just seals the deal for me, man. That bass line, that groove, that it is the shit. It is the shit. There's no other. It's probably one of the best bass lines to open a song and to lead a song. You know, in any out of any song in the 1970s, man. I think it's fucking fantastic. But this song really, the reason I chose it, guys, because it reminds me of two things. There's two things that I think of when I hear this song. One, Saturday Night Fever. Have you all seen this scene? Saturday Night Fever,
yes.
The song plays, and Travolta is out there on that lit up floor dancing like a fucking madman and a champ. And you know, he's moving and he's grooving. And his date is dancing like she's fucking constipated and she's barely. And you're like, God damn it, Travolta, can't you get somebody? You pick this bland chick to dance with? Could have any chick on the dance floor that he wanted. This guy was stealing the show, and this chick was like stealing all his thunder with her yawn. Jesus Christ. She ruined it for me. She ruined that scene. Travolta's giving her gold, and she's just there like unenthused, swinging her arms, and I don't know. It's a pretty funny scene if you watch it. Yes. I guarantee you'll agree with me and be like, "What the fuck is Travolta doing with her? He could have done so much better." Again, I've seen better dancing with our drunk Theos at 2 a.m. at a barbecue. My dad's 40th birthday specifically. And the other thing that this makes me think of is Kingpin, the opening scene where Woody Harrelson walks into the bowling alley. They're playing this jam. He like walks in real cool. Everybody's happy to see him. He steals the guy's pizza and takes a bite, and then he bowls this like trick spinning back shot and does a split. And they're playing this shit in the background. Like that's what this song makes me think of. It's like a quintessential disco song. You could put in any disco movie or any dancing scene, and this song will fit. It's these are epic scenes to me. This is an epic song. There's a lot of great disco songs, man. I just think this one, you know, I even mentioned it in the damn song title, Disco Inferno. It's really catchy, and it's really it's one of my favorites. So yeah, short and sweet, man. This is the pick. I really, really like it, so I thought I'd go with it.
Yeah, dude, this is obviously like one of the songs you think of when you talk about something like this. And of course, the name, excuse me, the word disco is in the song, so that, I mean, that's already given it like fucking 10 points. But yeah, you mentioned, dude, it's got a great bass intro. Like this is one of those. This is like what we talked about earlier. Great musicians putting together these good dance songs. You know, just purely with, you know, the instruments, the bass, the drum, the keyboards. Really, really great. Good singer. I didn't catch his name. We'll mention it later, I guess.
Which one? They have like 40.
Well, the main one, at least, I guess.
I know. I'm just fucking...
This is one of those songs, though, that I would like if it wasn't called Disco Inferno, I would just think this is just like a good funky dance song. I wouldn't necessarily lump it into disco music, but it is, you know, and of course, you know, it's obviously the name of the song is Disco Inferno. Is did the wrestler Disco Inferno actually use this song?
No, he did not.
Right to do that?
No, he just used the name. He did not use this song. A wrestler by the name of Glenn Gilberti wrestled in WCW as Disco Inferno. I could have swore
he had at least come out at least something similar. You know how they used to take songs that sounded exactly like other songs.
Right.
But anyway, really simple, to the point, good groove. Good moving, yes, like you mentioned, a good little scene. I haven't heard it recently, but that doesn't take away from its commercial use to this day. Yeah. I think it's I mean, I know I've heard it in a commercial or something or a movie, so it's got, you know, an everlasting quality to it, which adds to it. And just like I said earlier, just an all around great band, you know, great musicians, great selection. Bob, Rand, what do you got?
Saying that this song is timeless is weird because it is a disco song. So saying timeless and disco, that's an oxymoron. But damn, this song still goes today. It's one of my top 5 for sure. I played it probably more times than any of the disco songs that I was listening to within the past 2 weeks because it just puts you in a good mood. And then I watched the music video for the song, and those suits, Bob, they burn my retinas. They're so bright.
Fuck yeah, dude. It's like, if you ever seen a TV show in the 70s, folks, you know it's kind of blurry already. And then with those suits, Jesus Christ, it's like sunbursts.
You know, and this takes me back because I'm not old enough to remember disco, but I'm old enough to remember like the end part where people were still dressing like this. You know, like the red glass ashtrays and like the couches that look like a forest. Remember those old couches? They brown
they forest, like a carpet. Yeah.
And those TVs.
I remember those ashtrays.
My parents had a couple of them.
Exactly. So this song kind of takes me back to those memories. And then you watch this video. Everybody is kicking ass in this band. It's like 20 guys on stage, and everyone is playing the shit out of their instruments. They got one white guy playing the keyboard, and he's jamming out, and everybody else is doing a fantastic job either dancing or playing an instrument or singing. Everybody's got a role in this band, all 20 of them. I don't know how they separated the cash, but somebody's got to get paid. You know, this song doesn't fuck around, Bob. It gives you 40 seconds in the beginning. Finish your drink, do your line of cocaine, but you have 40 seconds to get your ass on the dance floor because we're going to punch you in the mouth, because they go to the chorus right away, right? It's burn, baby, burn. Yeah.
Baby, burn right away.
There's right bass line though. Once you hear the bass line, you're like, yeah. You finish your shot, you do your line, and you're like, let's go, baby. Gotta get on that fucking dance floor.
That is so brilliant that they give you that time to say, get somebody's hand, get on the dance floor, because you're gonna have a good time with this song. This song is going to just make your night, probably the highlight of your night. If you're into dancing and having fun, this is the song for you. My favorite part, you know, in 1 minute and 37 seconds, the singer calmly says, satisfaction. And at 2:41, he shouts the shit out of it. Satisfaction. Like, I mean, he was just so getting into this song. You know, I love that part. You can hate on disco all you want, but that bass line, Bob, and that guitar solo, it's just good musicianship. Both that bass line and that guitar solo, it's like, holy crap, this band can really play. But when you have 15 guys in a band, that's too much. I don't know. If that's my only knock, then that's my only knock. And as you mentioned, this song was featured in Kingpin, Ghostbusters, Backfire, Donnie Brasco, Dogstown, and Z-Boys, Saturday Night Fever. This song has made the rounds. It stayed relevant. An interesting fact, it stayed in the top 100 for 29 straight weeks, but just couldn't make the top 10. It peaked at number 11, but damn it had 29 weeks in the top 100. This song just never went away. It's a good vibe song. You know, you have to experience a little joy when you listen to it. I imagine this was sort of like that midnight song at 70s discos to keep the party going. I mean, I know Cocaine did that, but I'm sure this song fucking helped, you know?
No shit.
This song,
it was definitely, I'm sorry. It was definitely an every nighter, at least twice a night.
Yeah, you had to play. You had to play towards the end of the night to pick people up. I mean, this is.
I would say it's like the 1 o'clock in the morning. You're like, hey, we got an hour left, fuckers. Let's go. Let's buy some more drinks.
This song also has a benefit, as you both mentioned, having disco in the title. If you have the genre in the title, that's just smart marketing. I mean, We Will Rock You is a rock song. Rapper's Delight is rap music. Beat It is a masturbation song. So if you have the title in the song, you're going to make a lot of money off it, is what I'm trying to say. A lot of people diss disco, but this song is an example of funk and soul turned dance music. It sort of has those sound palettes of Isaac Hayes' Shaft, but it's codified.
Wait. His Shaft or the song? Okay, whoa.
I was trying to get through that without you saying anything. His song, the theme from Shaft, excuse me.
There we go.
I mean, but
you said Beat It, and then you said Shaft.
But it's codified by just good, fun dance music. A lot of disco songs are stuck in that era. Really good disco songs just stick around. And yes, they're a bit silly, but who gives a damn? Play this song at a large gathering like a wedding reception. You're going to see people make absolute asses of themselves, but that's what is fun about it. Nobody cares. I know. I do it every day, make an ass out of myself, and I would do it to this song every day if I could. The only negative thing I could say about this song, like I said, there's too many members of the band. I was watching them dance in their performance. They were bumping shoulders on the stage. They couldn't get the proper motion. The stage was too small. But
they're all blinded by their fucking suits. That's why.
This is why DJs play most of the fill-in instruments on turntables. But I mean, Bob, this is a great choice. I mean, this is a top 5 song for me. So we're going to go on to Joseph.
Thank you. I love it. Yeah. Joseph. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Joseph.
Joseph, what do you got for us?
All right. So originally I was gonna pick "Staying Alive," which I mentioned in honorable mentions. I think everybody thinks it's a great song. Look, obviously that's a great song in its own right, but like we talked about earlier, when if there's one thing I know about disco, it's definitely it's dance music. So of course I had to pick, You Should Be Dancing, also by the Bee Gees. I think the Bee Gees and disco are synonymous, to be honest with you. So it kind of works out hand in hand. Although I know their careers extended past that. I think mainly when we think Bee Gees, we think disco, we think, a lot. Randy mentioned like 3 or 4 or 5, 10 songs.
Great band.
In his honorable mention.
Yes.
So definitely up there as far as this genre. Honestly, it's just a real simple pick, good groove. Definitely what I think about when it comes to this type of music, this genre of music. And like I talked about earlier, the one thing I realized that was that disco has like this vast catalog. Randy mentioned Rapper's Delight just a while ago. That song was coming out on a list that I was looking at, and I was like, really? Like, I've never considered that a disco song. But
it samples a disco song, Good Times by Chic. Yeah,
it has that, but I've always just thought that was just being a classic old school rap song. But anyway, this song was number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for only a week. That's great in its own, but it was number 1 for 7 weeks on the Hot Dance Club Play chart, which I think is great because, like I said, dance song, dance disco, which definitely bumps up its resume. It's actually the song that launched them into, the disco genre, so to speak. And of course, got to mention, Bob mentioned the other one of them, but I think this one's more iconic. The iconic use of and one of the biggest dance movies of all time, Saturday Night Fever. John Travolta's solo dance, doing his thing to this song. I know he used in the other scene when he's dancing with the female friend, he's using Disco Inferno is playing, and he's doing his thing. But yeah, I mean, this solo dance in Saturday Night Fever to You Should Be Dancing. Perfect. I mean, it's up there. It's iconic. John Travolta does everything that I think you should do dancing to this song. John Travolta actually does in that scene. So cool. It adds to it. And of course, and another little side note use. I don't know if anybody's ever seen Short Circuit 1, but Johnny Five watches a scene of Saturday Night Fever, and he actually watches this scene, and he starts doing his own little computerized robot dance. So I mean, hey, it's cool. He liked it. It's awesome.
I thought you were going to mention Travolta and Jamie Lee Curtis dancing in Perfect, Joseph. And you mentioned Johnny number 5. Come on, man.
Love Jamie Lee Curtis in Perfect.
Yeah,
we got to do a whole episode on Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
yes. But before the yogurt or whatever the hell probiotics that she was, before that, okay.
Before we knew she's crapping everywhere. She had a good BM.
Yeah. Go ahead, Justin.
We love
music.
What's her name?
Jamie Lee.
Jamie Lee. Anyway, big song. And like its title says, you should be dancing, and if you're listening to disco music, you should definitely want to be dancing. And I think this is, while Bob's song is definitely up there as far as getting people up and dancing, maybe waking them up, this is what's getting them going at the beginning of the night, at least, having fun, having their drinks. Bob's song might wake them up after, their line of cocaine, but this is the one that's getting them going in the first place. So that's my selection, guys.
All right, so the Bee Gees, man, I think it's a great pick. You can't go wrong with any Bee Gees song, really, when it comes to the best disco song.
Great song, but I said except More Than a Woman, but great song, but I can't think of it as
I love that song, but go ahead, Bob.
I love it too. Disco right. Dancing.
Anyway. I mean, like, you know what I mean. And anyways, like, it's the iconic voice. I don't know if you could call it. I mean, some may call it iconic voice. Some may call it that Barry Gibbs, had a
they sound
like incident.
They sound like mosquitoes.
Yeah. The fucked up thing is now I can't even hear like a Bee Gees song or think of Barry Gibb without thinking of Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake and that fucking skit the parrot talking about. I cannot like it's just it throws me off.
To my show, ladies and gentlemen.
And like now I call them. Yeah.
I'm from the streets of Sydney. I'll put you to the ground.
Oh my God.
That's true, Bob. You're right. Like when you think Bee Gees, you think of this motherfucker dressed as Barry Gibb.
I think of that. I love that Jimmy Fallon's just so over the top. You can imagine that's what Barry Gibb.
Is there anything you'd like to say, Robin?
No.
Oh
no.
Man.
Go, Bob.
Sorry. I can't. But yeah, I think I'm glad you didn't pick "Staying Alive," Joe. So I'm just going to mention that because
yeah, great song.
Yeah, if you ever taken any CPR classes, that's the fucking song you're supposed to do CPR compressions to. So it's kind of lost its like disco, whatever it is. You know what I mean? But now, like, I can't think of it as a disco song. I think of it as like you're gonna say this motherfucker's live CPR, 30 compressions, 2 mouth breaths, tilt the chin.
I think it makes you want to walk more than anything else.
Yeah, that's just from the music video. But yeah, I think it's a great pick, man. Bee Gees, can't go wrong with him. Rand, what do you think about it?
What the Bee Gees did for this genre was give it credibility and chest hair, right? A band like Casey and the Sunshine Band wouldn't have worked for a serious film like Saturday Night Fever. You needed a band to give it levity, whose songs are both danceable and serious. When doing the soundtrack, do you think Barry Gibb called the other Bee Gees and was like, brothers, We ought to add something more serious. No, anyway, I had no idea what they were saying because I said they sounded like Texas mosquitoes, but they make good music. You know, I had no idea, Joseph, that line, it wasn't until this episode today that line is what you're doing in your bed on your back on She Should Be Dancing. I never knew that was the line. I thought it was, she's doing it again. But it's what you're doing on your bed and you're on your back, or I don't know what it is, but I just found out that song.
I didn't know that. That's a really high pitched sound. Then if
song
I can't
was
make that
very different. My favorite line: "She's juicy and she's trouble. She gets it to me good." It's so ridiculous and it shouldn't work, but it works. The Bee Gees were great at making the absurd sound meaningful. The Bee Gees sort of became the reluctant representatives of disco. It made them more famous and more rich than ever, but this band didn't aspire to be a disco mega act. It just fell on their lap. They were well-known musicians before this era, a very popular harmony group that, you know, didn't sing all their songs falsetto like they did on the soundtrack. One of my favorite love songs is To Love Somebody. You know, that line, I'm a man, can't you see what I am? That's how I end all my arguments. You know, so back to You Should Be Dancing.
And then go sleep on the couch.
Back to You Should Be Dancing. The song was a #1 U.S. hit in September of 1976, becoming one of the biggest disco. I almost said one of the big biscuits. One of the biggest disco hits of the era.
Biscuit and gravy, yeah.
When the movie Saturday Night Fever hit theaters in December of 1977, the song was used in a famous scene from the movie where John Travolta takes over the dance floor. And this is the dance scene where Travolta's character clears the dance floor and some middle-aged guy with a mustache and a sort of comb over walks slowly off the dance floor. And John Travolta's like, get off. This is my stage. You cannot deny that this is the song that helped bring disco culture to the mainstream. It's one of the songs, right? People think of John Travolta at his apex because of this song. It's synonymous with his dancing, just as is anything from Grease or Pulp Fiction or gyrating his balls towards Jamie Lee Curtis in Perfect Bob.
That's what you think of, just thinking of Jamie Lee Curtis and you're thinking of his balls. He's very, very short shorts, folks. It was jazzercise or whatever the fuck it was.
I have to do that in the morning just to be able to move.
As a matter of fact, John Travolta insisted, Joseph, that this song be used in this scene solo. It was supposed to be Night Fever for this song, the dance solo, but John liked this song better and he could have made a better choice. I do think this song is excellent. I don't think it's the Bee Gees' best disco song. I mean, it's better than Jive Talkin', but I mean, More Than a Woman, Night Fever, How Deep Is Your Love, Staying Alive. I would put this song in the top 5 of the Bee Gees' disco catalog, but damn it, they were all hits. I mean, you really can't go wrong. I mean, I love this song, but I don't like to be told what to do. Okay. Anyway, maybe a suggestion is a better way for me to get out on the dance floor. I think the song is far too aggressive and commanding, but that's just me. But going back to Travolta's dance solo on Saturday Night Fever.
Not that voice.
Disco is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a cut loose genre. I watched some disco documentaries on YouTube. You know, the white people, they couldn't dance for shit, but that's okay. That's acceptable. That was music. They were trying to make that music their own. But when you see John Travolta dancing like he's in a music video, like it's his job, it's just incredible. Men were trying to dress like him, act like him. It was the 70s, right? Being Italian was some people's personalities because of Rocky, because of Saturday Night Fever, because of The Godfather. You can try to look like John Travolta and dress like him, but no way you can move like him. He was incredible in this scene. The guy has hips like Barry Sanders. So what I'm saying is that how anyone can even try to dance like him after that song, I mean, you're putting yourself up for disappointment. You can just do the clap and sway side for side. John Travolta
pulling your groin.
John Travolta messed up this song for anybody who wants to dance to it because he just dominated. Everybody remembers him for that scene. But it's a tremendous song and it's a tremendous disco song. I think it's a great pick.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, lastly,
so thoughtful.
Right.
So we're concluding with my selection, and I selected "Don't Leave Me This Way" by Thelma Houston. Many people consider disco a punchline. They considered it the antithesis of real music, you know, and we mentioned before that Queen, Rolling Stones, Kiss, they all recorded their own disco songs. So we know that there was a catch there. We know that the popularity ran deeper than just the disco scene. I mean, rock musicians were trying to create these disco anthems themselves. People think of the strobe lights, the disco ball, the clothes, the drugs, and the hedonism. We talked about all that. But what they completely bypass is the real, true to life, heart and soul music that disco provided. If you make a list of 200 greatest songs ever recorded, as I mentioned before, there might be a few disco songs on that list. You can't say that about new metal, Joseph. Anyway, and topping that disco list would be this song, in my opinion, Don't Leave Me This Way by Thelma Houston, a Billboard #1 in April 1977. Thelma Houston had been recording since the mid-60s, but despite tremendous acclaim, she wasn't able to land a hit until Don't Leave Me This Way. Houston never got higher than number 34 on the US after this song, so she is considered a one-hit wonder. It starts off very sweet. You hear the humming, the and the oohs, the same sound you make, Joseph, when you're opening your beers. You know, she has that sound in the very beginning of the song. Then,
like Chewbacca getting his back rubbed.
Then it breaks into what my opinion is one of the best bass lines. I could hear you playing it. Then it breaks into what my opinion is one of the best bass lines in music history. The bass is more of a backup singer in this song than it is just an instrument. I love how the song is very sweet and vulnerable, and it ramps up into this intense desperation, and then it evolves into this rhythmic proposal. Don't leave me this way. Love it. It runs the gambit of emotions of love, and that's why this song is so complete. It's not just a disco song. It's an emotional proclamation of love lorn, love lost. It's amazing. Most love songs or love lorn songs are focused on one tone, one emotion. But Thelma Houston is giving us 3 change-up emotions. And like any good disco song, you're dancing to it without really understanding what's really going on. There's no auto-tune. There's no scantily clad, dress performances in this one. There's no fluff. I mean, when you watch her perform, she looks like she just dropped off her kids at the elementary school drive-through, right? She's just playing and she could just belt it out like no other. It's a straight up relatable, heartbroken person who just got dumped. And like somebody who is newly dumped, there's this moment of intensity when you want the person back, right? That euphoric recall that we talk about a lot. Some of us cry, some of us beg, but Thelma Houston gives the point of view of power to sound both desperate and powerful simultaneously. That's not an easy thing to do, guys. So the dance floors were full when this song came out. This is as 70s as your dad's red glass ashtray, as we mentioned, as that brown couch that we talked about that looked like a northern forest, then that TV that made it look like a piece of furniture, or when Pizza Hut was a quality dining experience. This is 70s. This is disco. I only wish Thelma had a longer career. I'll conclude with this. Great voice, great stage presence, and she accomplished something a lot of artists in this genre could not at the time. She helped create a song that went beyond disco and is a mainstream staple of what a good nostalgic song, not just disco song, what a good nostalgic song is. What are your thoughts on this song, guys?
I think she wasn't anything until she found Louise. Let's just get that out of the way. I really do love this song. I do think it starts off way too slow. This is like the Taylor Swift song. You know what I mean? The song that your chick like says, "Hey, we got to go dance to this song." The guy's like, "God damn it, can't do Atlantic Coke to this." Like it's a straight up like the song your girlfriend made you listen to and dance to on the disco floor when you're like, "I just want to go drink and have fun with my friends." The chorus is obviously iconic. It makes you think of 70s and disco and it's fantastic. Like she has an amazing voice and everything. I do think you did mention the bass line. Yes, there's no other bass line like Burn Baby Burn, Disco Inferno. That bass line is the bass line for disco music. But I do think this song starts off a little slow. Like it's a love song and also a disco song, and also it definitely does fit a few different genres of music. I wouldn't use the word transcends, but like you did. But I would say like it definitely can fit. Wears a bunch of different hats. Maybe we could say that it is a great song. The chorus is again, like I said, it's iconic, memorable, disco 70s. It definitely fits that mold. I just wish again, I don't know, man. Like it doesn't make me want to dance. It makes me think of disco. For sure. It makes me think of disco and that era and movie scenes with playing that song in the background. Like for sure. I do like that groove that the bass plays in the middle of it right after they sing the chorus. That's really nice. It's a badass song, dude. This is definitely top 5 easily of all disco songs. And it's because of that chorus and that bass line right after it, man. What do you think about it, Joe?
It's interesting selection. I honestly, just by name, I didn't know the song. So obviously when you said what it was, when you gave your selection, I went and I checked it out. I was listening to it. And at first I was going to rip you a new one because I was like, Randy, there's nothing disco about, because yes, it has that soft start. It has that slow start, right? I didn't know the song until I heard the most, I guess, memorable thing about the song, the chorus. That whole that build up, baby, like that part. I knew. I was like, oh, this song. Okay, now I know the song. Now I know which one he's talking about. And I guess it's not anything against her or the song itself. It's just like one of the things that I think is a positive about it, kind of adding to it, is its long lasting. I don't know what call it, legacy, I guess you can call it that. Like how it's commercial use, how Bob's song is still. I think both of your selections, commercial use has extended into later generations, way past its time, more than my song. My selection, and that's cool. That's great, and this is one of those songs too. I think it definitely has an audience to this day. I was looking at its usage in film and TV, and it's a very long list of credits and uses. Since disco is not too much of my thing, I'm not gonna lie. I won't, and this isn't me trying to disrespect the song in any way. If you had told me this was Donna Summer, I would have thought it was. I would have been like, okay, cool. So I just didn't know her. I honestly thought this was probably by one of the more bigger named female singers of this decade, because it was such a huge hit and those ladies were pumping out great. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, Donna Summer is the queen of disco. I could have easily believed that this was one of her songs. The slow start doesn't hurt it. It's just yeah, that's great. No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just for me personally, just thinking, what I know, and like I said, I'm born in the 80s. This is not my thing.
Yeah.
But what I know of disco music is just kind of always been like this, get up and dancing. And yes, you do get up and dance to this song. That's fine. It has its moments, but it just starts off so slow. If it was just, go ahead. You want to?
Well, you know what else? What other song starts off very slow? That's a very famous disco song, and we mentioned it. I Will Survive. Nothing starts slower than that song.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that was
particularly one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
I love "I Will Survive," but it's not a song I really want to dance to.
Exactly. I give it that.
I don't think it has got like the most upbeat. I guess.
Who sings that song?
Gloria Gaynor.
Gloria Gaynor.
Yeah,
another big name
Gloria
too.
Gaynor.
Its use is everlasting, and that's what adds to it. Is a great song. It's I love hearing, like, you talked about like this disco music with 70s serial killer dramas. I think some of the best movies that like kind of have it. I know I've heard this, and like obviously it was in Boogie Nights, right? A great movie.
Yeah, it was in Summer of Sam as well. Spike Lee.
Like some of these great movies, they use it in the trailer to get you hooked on this this decade film. I don't know if you mentioned. Did you mention that it was a cover?
No, I did not.
You didn't mention it was a cover.
I did not. It was a cover. School me.
Originally performed and written by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, featuring.
There you go. I did read that. Yeah, I didn't.
Teddy
mention
Pendergrass.
It. Teddy Pendergrass.
Teddy motherfucking Pendergrass.
Yes. So, you got what I need. Yeah.
So bold selection as for her too. I mean, I listened to the original and it wasn't as like, and they were recorded roughly like 3 years apart or something like that.
Yeah.
Released also within the 70s. And yes, Delma Houston's version is way more dancey. It's definitely probably the one that people wanted to hear more in the club or in the dance club and whatnot. And that's fine. I listened to the original one and it wasn't anything special. So she's I think she definitely took it and made it her own. I think it was recorded by somebody else as well. I just don't remember. Go ahead.
The biggest knock on Thelma Houston, and I want to ask you guys a follow-up question.
Real quick before you go, it's funny that how you described her, because she seems really chill. I was watching that live performance, and I think she looks like she just dropped off her kids at school, and I was like, yeah she does.
She does. Yeah, she looks like she's going on like an airplane or something. Like she's not dressed for. I think
she's not.
Houston, I mean, she never got higher than number 34 after this song. It was a song called Saturday Night, Sunday Morning, which was in 1979. So she never had another top 30 hit after Don't Leave Me This Way. But can you guys admit that, man, she could have been a star?
She had the voice. She definitely had the voice. And like I said, this is probably me being stupid, and it's not me being disrespectful. Like I said, you could have told me it was Donna Summer, and I would have believed you. But now that I know that it wasn't,
I love
like, why wasn't she a bigger star? Like, 'cause she does have a definitely beautiful voice. Is she still alive today?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope she's still collecting on something. I hope she owns, got some royalties from this. Cause I mean, like I don't know how much she would get in royalties to this day, but this song it's one of these ones that's not going away. Just as recent, like I said, just as recently, it's used in 2023 in TV and film. So it's going to be here. It's definitely, and that adds to yours and Bob's selection, I believe. I'm not, like I said, I think that you guys got me there on those two choices over my song. So great selection.
Did we mention Best of My Love? Because damn it, that was a good.
You got the best of my
Yeah, that was a
love.
great disco song. Yeah.
I don't think we did.
Yeah, that was I wish I had mentioned that in the honor. Best of My Love, To Be Real. I mean, there are a lot of great disco songs that we did not mention. Of course, we don't have the time to go through, a list of 50 each. But
nope,
I mean,
nobody mentioned Rick James, Super Freak, and I think that that's pretty fucking epic.
I thought about that when we were talking, but then I was like, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Towards the tail end, yeah, because a lot of the misconception is that disco ended at the 70s because they had that Disco Sucks night at Comiskey Park in July of 1979. Disco started to die in 1979, but it didn't really die until 80, 81. That's when disco, like that Rick James Super Freak was one of the last like big disco songs. I mean, it was a genre that hung around for a while. And go ahead, Joseph.
No, it's just like this. It's like, I think Rick James, I think funk,
Yeah.
He's a funk musician.
Rick James, bitch. That's what I think of.
Final thoughts on disco, guys.
In the research and going back, like I said, I was a little surprised at some of the songs that were mentioned or that were added to lists, things like that, different playlists. But ultimately, I wasn't burning CDs of disco music when I, in the early 2000s.
Who was, goddamn?
Well, I probably did. My mom or dad probably asked for one, and I said, okay, I'll put one together for you. I can definitely listen to them. There's a lot more to like than there is than the silliness. And I think that's, like you mentioned that earlier, and the silliness of disco music. There's definitely a lot of silly disco songs, specifically, even though I like it. Disco duck.
Yeah, which was an insult. So that was by a Nashville.
Was that even in the 70s?
It was in the 70s. It was written by a Nashville DJ and performed by a Nashville DJ by the name of Rick Dees. And he was using this as an insult to disco, how glamorized it was and how stupid it was. So song. So it was kind of like a jab, an insult song. Yeah,
still a good song. But like I said, like for a lot of the bad rap that it gets for the silliness of some of the songs, a lot of really great songs based on musicianship, like we talked about earlier. Just these bands were doing it. These groups, these singers were doing it with whether they were just vocalists, with live bands doing great performances, or bands in general performing their stuff live. All these great sounds with instruments. So props to them. There was a lot more songs that I realized that I liked than I didn't like.
Man, I had a lot of fun listening. It definitely like took me back to a different time. I thought of like my parents and like Joseph mentioned, the 40th birthday parties and shit. They were like, it's cool to see. And then like I think of like a lot of some of my favorite movies a lot of my favorite movies. Like like if you think of I like when they have like throwback scenes from the 70s, and this is the type of music they play. Summer of Sam is fucked up, but like they play this type of music. Boogie Nights. A lot of like throwback to like movies that weren't made in the 70s, but they're made like, more of our generation, the 90s, 2000s, but they throw it back to those kind of songs and have those in scenes. I really like the way they do that. So it's cool, man. I like this type of music. It's not like what I'm going to listen to on the weekends. It's not what I want to listen to when I'm drinking. But if you're, like I think Joseph mentioned, if you're out somewhere and you're drinking and you're 5 beers in and then this kind of shit goes on, you're like, fuck yeah, that's badass. That's a cool song for them to play. Like, am I going to fucking sing along with it? You know what I mean? No, but I mean, like, it's going to be enjoyable for that, 20, 30 seconds until I move on to my conversation. But it's a cool little topic, man. Something different. Probably get like 10 downloads, because most of the people that are into this music don't know how to work their iPhone. So, but I think, it was a cool topic.
A couple of songs we didn't mention. More by the Andrea True Connection. A porn star created a song. You've heard this. You know this song, right, Joseph? Yeah. Which was
more.
It was sampled in that song. Remind me, what was that song called? "Steal My Sunshine." "Steal My Sunshine" sampled that song. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know who we're talking about.
Yeah. We didn't mention More by the Andrea True Connection, porn star who did a disco song. I like the Nightlife.
And that's not all she did.
Horrible song. Nothing by ABBA. Dancing Queen? Nobody? Okay. Disco was a genre that integrated everybody and everything. Black or white, rich or poor, straight or gay. It brought everyone joy. And this was during a time of economic strife, heavy drug use. It gave a platform to a lot of marginalized groups. And even though it's considered a genre that many people didn't take seriously, you can still hear the influences in modern music. I mean, you listen to Silk Sonic, Doja Cat, Daft Punk, Lizzo, Dua Lipa, on and on. People still love how this sound makes them feel. It's given communities power through art. And for many years, it was a punchline. Disco Stew on The Simpsons, Disco Inferno, the wrestler that you mentioned.
Stew.
But what
Disco Stew.
But what disco did was take out the live band and all the breaks, created the power of the DJ who can easily transition songs over, and essentially made DJs superheroes. So kudos to all the music artists that we talked about. What a great episode. Guys, before we leave, I want to get your thoughts on celebrity that we just lost yesterday, James Earl Jones. If you could have, a few seconds to talk about your memories of James Earl Jones before we wrap up.
Hey, man, I'll mention, just two iconic characters that I love. You can't go wrong with Darth Vader, obviously. That's like the voice that we just, that'll stick in our heads forever, man. And then being the blind baseball player in The Sandlot, like one of my favorite movies growing up. Well, these are two, Star Wars and The Sandlot, being that guy next door
Mr.
who ended
Myrtle.
up being a baseball player and played with he was amazing. I think of Field of Dreams as well. He just an iconic actor with an iconic voice and like this huge smile that, it sounds stupid to say, but like because he had a kind of a serious look on his face, but when he'd smile, kind of light up a room type of thing, man. So big loss, great actor, lived a very long life and has a lot of films and things out there, so he'll probably be remembered forever. But a big loss to the film industry.
Yeah, dude, that was one of the things I really liked about him, other than those obviously iconic roles and those characters and bringing that to life. He wasn't above doing small appearances on TV shows and sitcoms. One of my favorite performances of him on a television series was on Everwood. He had a recurring character of a former jazz musician trying to teach the main character's son more jazz piano style to because he was a prodigy, but he's also going deaf at the same time. So it's just and he was this bitter, angry individual because he was this musician and he loves music so much, but he was going deaf. So he had a love-hate relationship with music, and he brought this character to life where he questioned faith, and that's James Earl Jones just bringing that character. It was just this great performance. It was a recurring role, at least a few episodes per like 2 seasons, and I loved it. And it was fucking James Earl Jones on a WB show, so it was really cool.
I think it's kind of ironic that we're talking about the 70s and James Earl Jones was a star of the biggest movie of the 70s, Star Wars. A lot of us got introduced to James Earl Jones via Star Wars. And he was a great performer, commanding voice, just iconic. I mean, he was blessed with a voice because he was a stage actor as well as a screen actor. So to have that voice, to be so commanding, iconic, and just be present, I mean, what a gift. Not only that was given to him, but that he gave us back. The Great White Hope, great movie. We mentioned Star Wars, Sandlot, Conan the Barbarian when he had the mullet, which was a great field of
that turn and
hairdo,
look in
man,
disgust and turn back. Love it.
He looked like one of our tias, Field of Dreams, Hunt for Red October, Lion King, Coming to America. My Son Works. If James Earl Jones, comedies, comedies weren't beneath him. Small roles weren't beneath him. If you know that James Earl Jones was going to be in a movie for 10 minutes for a quick cameo, he was going to make the most out of every second. So, I mean, he was just a very giving performer, a very, like you said it best, Bob, when he smiled, I mean, he lit up a room. He's just such an incredible personality, seemed like a warm-hearted, soulful person. And, man, we're going to miss him. That's a big loss because he was such a big influence on the movies we've grown up watching throughout our childhood and adulthood. So rest in peace, James Earl Jones.
And that's our show, everyone. Listeners, we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up and let us know what you think the best disco song is. Most importantly, let us know what you think about the show. You may reach us at formidableopponents@gmail.com and follow us on all forms of social media by searching for Formidable Opponents. We want to thank Creative Little Pill for her great and hilarious artwork this week. Please follow her on Instagram at Creative Little Pill. Please subscribe, rate, and review us on any podcast platform you're listening to us on. And join us next episode as we debate and discuss best new metal song. Joseph, you got to win this one, baby. All right. So for Bob and Joseph, keep on trucking. We'll see y'all later.
Formidable Opponents Podcast.
Bye, everybody.